Everyone, and I'd like to welcome you here today to the Tuesday, January 3rd of 2023 Jackson County Board of Supervisors meeting. And I'd like to welcome, first of all, welcome Don Clinker and Nan Flegel, our new appointed elected supervisors. And my name is Mike Steinis, and I'll take charge of the meeting so far today. That's me, have Bjorn and Lisa from the auditor's office, Luann, our executive assistant in the back, Mary from the media is here, and we have a couple visitors also that we'll introduce as they come up. So no further ado, we have a collection of individuals on Zoom with us today. So welcome and Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
And first on our agenda today is Luann. So Luann, we've got a few appointments to make.
We do. It's one of the few days I get to go first on the.
Good morning.
I'll take advantage.
Happy New Year.
Relatively done.
Correct. Okay, first assignment, first piece of business we have to deal with today is the board chair and vice chair. We need to decide who's going to be chair and vice chair. We need to make motions to that effect.
I make a motion that Mike Steinis be our chair and Don Schwenker be our vice chair.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to have Mike is appointed as chair and Don as vice chair. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Okay, the next piece of business is designating the official 2023 newspapers. I did receive requests from Coconut Sentinel Press, the Bellevue Herald Leader, and the Preston Times, all requesting to be designated as official newspaper. We have copies of those in your binder.
I'll make a motion to point all three as official papers for 2023.
I will second that.
I have a motion and a second to approve the newspapers as presented. Any further discussion? I will say they are our three main newspapers in the county. And is it a requirement that we have all three? Is that correct? No. We choose to have all three as, which I think covers the county very well. So motion and second, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Next is, I need a motion to reappoint Ron Regenweather as Fairfield Township trustee and Mary Lou Johnson as Fairfield Township clerk. In this case, Fairfield Township is the only township that has asked the supervisors to do their appointments for them rather than having them elected.
And these individuals have agreed to this, correct?
They have.
So moved.
Okay.
Have a motion and a second to approve the Fairfield Township trustee and clerk as presented. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, nay.
Sorry.
Waiting.
Motion carried.
All right, next, I'm asking for an appointment to appoint the eminent domain commission for 2023. You have a list in your binder of people that are on that. I only had one person who did not wish to, from last year's list, that did not wish to be reappointed, and that was Elaine Stinson. And so Chad Rader is now in charge of helping me recruit for this. And he said Steve Nemers will be taking Elaine Stinson's place. We have to have full counts within each category to do this.
So you have individuals for eminent domain, just so the public knows, you have individuals that from our farm owners, operators, city property owners, licensed real estate brokers or salesperson, and banker, auctioneer, property manager, appraisers.
Correct.
Are the four categories.
It is an annual appointment. So we do this every January.
So do you need separate motion to accept the resignation and or appoint?
Not for this, because the term expired at the end of December.
Okay, but you do need a motion to appoint.
To appoint the whole,
They're listed on the
to appoint
list.
the whole list.
I make that motion to appoint the list as given to us for the eminent domain commission.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the eminent domain commission as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Okay, next is, we need an appointment of one of you to the Seventh Judicial Department of Corrections Board. This is an appointment that's dictated by Iowa code, and it's required to be made on the first business meeting of every calendar year, so.
Will somebody raise their hand and volunteer? Is that?
I think Nan did.
I nominate
On her
Nan.
list.
This is on Seventh Judicial Board of Review.
And do I need to vacate and second that, or can then second that?
She can second.
Yeah, I
I'll
don't
second
see-
that.
Have a motion and a second to approve Nin as the Seventh Judicial Board branch. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? Motion carried.
All right, next, business is appointments to the Jackson County Economic Alliance Board. They are annual appointments, I believe, so.
I'll second it. And I will say, just because I used to listen, you're gonna have to speak up a little.
Sorry.
I used to listen and get talked here sometimes.
What? Yeah. No, I appreciate that. You guys volunteering to do that and be on that board. So I have a motion and a second to appoint Don to the Jackson County Economic Alliance Board. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And we do have two appointments to that board. Do you want to make the second appointment?
Oh, I'll make a
Today.
motion, we approve Ryan Kilburg, right?
He's the one that's on there now.
Do I have a second to that
Oh,
motion?
I have a second to that motion of Ryan Cooper.
I have a motion and a second to approve Ryan Kilberg as to be a committee member on Jackson County Economic Alliance, and he is appointed by the supervisors, correct?
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Next, I'm looking for a motion to make an appointment to the Jackson County Conservation Board. At this point, we had one term that expired and that belonged to Jim England. He
And
is,
am I correct in saying he put his application in again, correct?
he did, he's willing to be reappointed.
He's actually very anxious to get reappointed, so I would make that motion.
I would second that.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Jim England back to the Conservation Board. Any further discussion? I would say I just also have talked to Jim and he had a lot of interest. He's been very active, I would say. He presents himself with background stuff and does a nice job on that board, so. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried.
All right, so the next bit of business is supervisors, committee and board assignments. That's your multicolored sheet. And do you, I don't know if your lists overlap. I haven't had time to go through them, so.
Very much.
Not very much. Okay, so I can go through there. What, was there something not, and we can table this until next week if we need time to go through this, if you want.
No, I don't think so. I think we just move forward here and make a decision. If we got questions, and then we talk about it and
Okay,
move forward.
right, so, the first one on the list is, the DCAT board, which Mike is on. We'll need an alternate for that board.
And that normally, well, since the pandemic, of course, we've done a fair amount of, I'm actually the chair of that board right now, but I think for a couple of years. But it is a good, nice board to be on. It's interesting, very interesting. I mean, with the adolescents and keeping children in society and with their families and so on and so forth. But most of the time we meet by Zoom anymore, or you're more than welcome to go to the, they used to switch them off, DeWitt and Macogata sites for meetings. And they've been pretty much having them in DeWitt with the Zoom capability, so
I'd be willing to be an alternate on that.
thank you. So are we going through the list and putting down?
I
And-
guess unless you have a better way to do it.
No, I
Well,
don't.
why don't we, I can list the ones that I put in for. And then put in for some, because it boils down to, Are you good with all the ones that aren't?
I guess my thought is to go down through the list as we see them and then just put a name there and say, yeah, this is where we're at. So we all know what we're at.
Okay. The next
And
board,
I'm
oh,
sorry, I'd be willing to keep that.
Okay, thank you. The next is the rural, the RTA board for Delaware, Dubuque, and Jackson County, and that is all three supervisors, so that does not require an appointment. The E911 Service Board, Mike is also the chair of that. So I'm assuming he will be keeping that at least for a couple of days since they're meeting tomorrow.
So I guess with that being said, Nin is also on that board in another capacity as. So are you still on that board?
As of right now, yes.
And she's been appointed by an entity that's not supervisors, so
Right,
we
but
don't.
that's okay with, I mean, we publish that anyway, so it's a public meeting.
But if you cannot go, Nin cannot be your alternate. So we need an alternate. Sometimes the alternate has been county
I
engineer.
guess my question would be, can two supervisors, even though they're functioning in different capacities, be on the
Well,
same?
that was my
board?
question, yeah.
Because that is technically a quorum for the supervisors.
Correct.
But it's not a quorum for 911. I mean, you still have to have, and when we vote for something in 911, it's gotta be a quorum of the 911
Right.
Members.
personnel. Whether we have different opinions or not.
You know, because I know that as far as for supervisors, you just can't discuss anything that needs to come before the supervisors in a vote. Because part of the open meetings law is not discussing the intent of voting with each other. So that would be the only thing that you guys would have to be very particular about. Not, you know, when you're talking, because I know right now we're talking about upgrading the radios and all that kind of stuff. And that will bleed back into votes of the supervisors where, you know what I mean? Because I know we can all three attend something and listen, we just can't talk about
Have
it.
input.
You know what I mean? So if you sat and both were supervisors sitting in that meeting talking about how to spend money, I don't think you could participate in the meeting. Knowing that the vote would come back here. And you would have to vote on it here. That's the gray area I'm talking about.
And I would say that is very great, but to discuss and not make a decision, yeah, I mean, if the 911 board, it wasn't like. The two of us made a decision, it was the board itself, so I guess it is a gray area. Can we officially or not officially? At this point, put Don as the alternate and get clarification from our county attorney.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next board is the Early Childhood Iowa Board. That Jack has been on, I think. Nin,
Yeah.
you said you would be
Yes.
on that? Okay. Next is the Eastern Iowa Mental Health and Disability Services Regional Governing Board. That Jack has been on with Mike as his alternate, so.
You said, did you want that? Nan? Yeah.
It was my understanding that we can appoint. It doesn't have to be one of us to that board.
That's correct.
So Jack's been on it for 32 years.
One
Yeah.
to stay on.
And he indicated that he would like to remain on that board if it was okay with them. Because since all the major changes in the MSDS board, it may come obsolete here in the next near future with the state taking that
I'm
over.
good with leaving Jack.
Okay, and then I
could be
think
the alternate for that.
you'd like to be the alternate, okay? And of course, we can do this yearly, so.
Or in between if we need to.
Yeah.
Yes. The next board is the East Central Intergovernmental Association Board. Jack has been on that and Larry, so we need, both. We need to appoint both at this point in time.
And has anybody?
Nobody's volunteered for that. We do a lot of work with E ECIAs.
Yeah. Are them board meetings normally like when we have another meeting up there, like after?
ECIA usually, meets at the same time that the ECDC board does, and ECIA has an executive board and then a council. So usually what happens is that Jack would go up to Dubuque at 4 o'clock for the ECDC board meeting, which is a subcommittee of ECIA, and then he'd go to the executive committee and then to council meeting, and they feed him supper, so you're basically up there for the whole evening,
Yeah, from 4 on.
right? That's why I put 4 to 7, because that's usually what it runs.
So I'm not opposed to being on that board, I guess. I would need an alternate.
I'll take, I'll be your alternate.
Okay.
Okay. The next board is the IRIS, the Eastern Iowa Regional Utility Service Systems Board. And Larry has been the supervisor for that, and Elizabeth Townsend has been the alternate. I think we can, since she's in charge of the health department, probably remain as the alternate if you want.
Yeah, I mean, she. And Lynn, have you decided?
Yeah,
You-
I
Okay.
would do that.
And just to, I mean, they are zoomable also, and I've been zooming, just out of interest for what's on their agenda right now, so. And Elizabeth normally attends also and has her money input, so.
Okay, the next board is the Eastern Iowa Tourism Association, and that had been vacant for a while. But Mike has just recently been appointed to that.
I think I volunteered.
Volunteered or volunteered?
We told him you've been appointed, so.
Yeah. If somebody wants that, they sure can, but
I
that's only.
think you're a good fit right there.
All right. Next board is the Innovate 120 Advisory Board, and I saw that Don had that on his list. I don't know, I don't think that's our appointment. I think that's Innovate 120's invitation.
Okay.
I think,
Any clarification?
yeah, so we might need to ask
So
about that
we would commit Don to that if that's so be it. That's,
if we need,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. Jackson County Economic Alliance Board, I think we took care of that. Limestone Bluffs RC&D Board. Jack has been on there with Larry as his alternate.
I took that one.
Be willing to be the alternate. Sorry, I'd be willing to be the alternate to that.
Macocata River Watershed Management Authority. I see that
Yeah, I
on
took that
Don's
one.
list, okay. Municipal League of Mayors.
I was gonna take that, but you wanted it, Mike, so if you want it, you can.
We still get an alternate, so.
Yeah.
So Don's gonna be the alternate?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. The RPA. Regional Planning Affiliation.
I'll take that.
I was gonna say I had that down.
So we need. Cause I think Todd Kinney, our engineer, has been the alternate, so. Do the two of you want to do primary and alternate?
Is there
We had
two,
two. We had
there's two
two.
positions.
and then-
Is it there? Because it's listed twice.
It's listed twice because Larry was on there as the RTA's appointment to the RPA board, so I'm not sure that.
Okay.
That in here we can change that. So that's why Todd Kinney is the alternate, and that's why Larry's listed next, but he was the RTA's appointment to this board.
okay, so again, you can clarify that with them.
I
But
think RTA has to decide who they want on
I
there,
know they both normally went to that meeting.
correct? Okay, so. Don is the appointment and Nin is the alternate. I believe Todd is the alternate.
Up to you.
I would leave Todd lead the alternate, and they
Okay.
can still have Nin on there if the RPA would appoint Nin to it.
If
when
the
Larry's
RTA was to
position.
do that, yes,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
We'll be well represented.
I believe the RTA is meeting tomorrow, so maybe that's on their agenda already. Okay, the next one is the Mississippi Valley Workforce.
gonna take that one.
Okay. Seventh Judicial Department of Corrections, I think we talked about already. And Waste Authority of Jackson County ex officio, Mike's been serving on that. So we'll leave that where it is, Mike?
That's fine by me, yeah.
Okay. If we go down to the more miscellaneous boards. The ASAC board and the Brownfields grant designee. Both belong to the board chair, so both of those will go to Mike now.
Is that so is the Iowa Municipal Aid Compact? Compact
Yes.
is also board and the REAP.
The REAP meets once a year.
Okay.
So that goes to the board chair.
Yeah.
The other one, the mutual aid compact, I have not seen that one meet. So I don't know how often they meet, and maybe they don't meet very often, clearly, because I have not seen a meeting, so. That's why some of these are down in the miscellaneous section, because they don't meet very often. The ATV committee we talked about, and usually I get the list from Steve Tebby for that. It's not usually our pick on that. Bellevue Leadership Committee. I
You get
assume-
put down in that place if Steve wants to volunteer.
Okay. Okay. Bellevue Leadership Committee, Mike,
Mm-hmm.
leave that on there. The Emergency Management Executive Group, again, I've not really seen that one meet.
Put my name on there. If we
Okay.
need it. I don't know if that'll kind of come more with the EOC in the jail or anything.
EMS meets, I've been attending the EMS meetings, so.
Okay.
I mean, we're still in talk regarding our EMS personnel as far as where we're going with that position.
The CSE.
The community solutions of Eastern Brown. Right underneath Brownfield,
That goes to the board chair.
doesn't say that.
Well, CSEI. I do not know about CSEI. That's a very recent board the last couple of years. And I don't even have bylaws for them, so
Where have you guys
Jack,
looking
I
at?
don't know, we can
I don't
the
have
list,
that
because I
on my
don't see it, but.
See it.
Right underneath Brownfield?
No. Emergency Management Executive Group.
That's why I said
That's what I have.
it's not on my list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Jack's been going to that. We'll have to look and see what we need to do with that one. Enterprise Zone Commission, we need to check on, correct? Or what do you want to do with that one? I don't, according to the code,
That's not on my list.
Maybe the wrong one got it.
that is, okay.
Well, I got whatever you sent me. I would
Yeah,
say that
that
the
could be.
enterprise zone is something that we need to do further research on, that I believe that has been, it's no longer a committee, and I think, and so I don't know if I need to come back to the board for
With the,
a motion to abolish this, to dissolution or whatever. So that is on our to-do
I
list.
can say that looks like I'm on that board, but I don't know that I ever met. So.
Right, I don't think they've ever met. Not in the time I've been here, which is
Yeah.
been longer than that, so. The Grantwood Scenic Byway Board. Again, I'm not sure how that appointment was made. But Larry has been doing that. So maybe that requires some more research too.
You put your name
I
on
have
it.
my name on it.
Okay. The HTF, the Eastern Iowa Regional Housing Trust Fund, Mike is on that board. All right, leave you there,
Unless somebody wants it,
maybe once a quarter,
once a quarter.
by Zoom usually.
Usually by Zoom. I mean, for years we went to them personally, but they only last about 15 minutes and. Usually the boards, I mean, you have to be interact to see what all the applications were, but they're in arrears by about 2 years on their. Spending and stuff, but. Interesting.
Good.
I'll keep it if nobody wants it.
I can do it.
Okay. The Iowa DHS, that is a governor's appointment, so we do not have to fill that slot. Jack will remain on that board. The Iowa Mutual Aid Compact, again, it's specified that it's the board chair and the vice chair. So it can change from year to year as the chairs change. Jackson County Security Advisory Committee. That, and they're not, yeah, every third month, they're meeting quarterly, and Mike is on that now. It's basically regarding courthouse security.
Be willing to do that.
And there's a meeting next week, but you'll be gone also.
Yeah, I think you'll be in Des Moines. So
Well, I think you'll be gone that much.
we haven't listed an alternate, we could have. You
No,
as the
I'm
al-
fine with it. If Nim wants to do that, that's fine.
Do you want to go on as the alternate then?
Sure.
Okay. JC EMSA is the Emergency Medical Service Association. Mike's been going to those meetings. I don't think technically we're on that committee. Mike's just been covering those meetings.
No, I started going to them and I, because of some of the situations that were happening, and then I simply asked if they'd like me to keep coming, and they did. They wanted me to keep coming, so. I just kept going.
Okay,
I'd be willing to do that if you didn't want it, but if you want it.
Actually, I kind of enjoy it. But you're willing, I mean, you're more than welcome to come to them. I mean, they're countywide and they're open to the public
open to the
also.
public, so yes, if you're interested, most of these meetings are open to the public. So if you have an interest in something, you can always stop in. Next one is the Local Emergency Planning Committee, which used to meet very regularly every month, and then COVID hit. And it met very regularly for COVID, and now we haven't met in a long time. So I don't know where that committee is going.
I would be willing to do that one.
Okay,
Set it on that for group health.
Kind of falls into your.
Wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
and I heard talk about the Macocata leadership team. What did you decide to do with that one?
Do you have an alternate for the LEPC?
Mike,
Okay, you're,
You're okay with that?
I'll take the leadership, unless you want to.
Yeah, I'm okay with the LEPC.
okay. REAP, the REAP is the board chairperson. And the last one on the list is the TAG, the Transit Authority Group. Mike is on that. Larry was his alternate.
I
So
want to keep it, Mike, I'll do your alternate.
Oh, I thought I had you down for that.
I put it down, but it's up to you.
Yeah, no, go ahead. And I can be the alternate too then.
you want to be the alternate?
Sure.
Okay.
We get both feet really wet.
Okay,
So,
I think that covers the list. We'll have a couple of things we have to research.
so can we make the motion with what we agreed to with clarification for a couple boards?
I would say yes, and I also
We
would
can-
ask for a separate motion to appoint Jack to the Eastern Iowa MHDS board.
Okay,
I'll make that motion for Jack to the. And it's.
Mental Health Disability
MSD,
Services, yes, the regional board, yep.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to make Jack appointed designee for us and then as the alternative. Is that the motion?
Yep.
And any further question, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
Do we make a motion on the others as discussed, except for those that we need to check on?
With clarification.
With clarification, yeah, did you get that motion or we're making that now?
So so has the motion been made yet?
Well.
I'll make it if. you-
Okay, so you want to approve the Supervisors Committee and Board Assignments list with,
As discussed, yeah. Or as,
or with,
Clarification on a couple of those, yes, we need to check on.
and I've got, so for calendar year 2023 is presented with a copy of the list available in the supervisor's office.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Then maybe we will also need to clarify. And then have it again on next week as.
The clarification.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried. Well done.
Okay, the only thing I have left is the calendar for this week. It's gonna be, which is gonna be short and sweet. Tomorrow on Wednesday, January 4th at 9 AM is an RTA meeting in Dubuque. For everyone, for all of you. There might be a Zoom option for that. I'm not sure. It seems like she wants everybody there in person tomorrow.
Well, they make appointments tomorrow, yeah, so I don't, whoever can, I guess, there is a Zoom option, but.
We survived with Zoom for a whole year with nothing but Zoom meetings.
Whoever, yes, it is.
Okay,
It's nice to get acquainted the first part of the year with
Yeah.
everybody that's there with both Delaware and Dubuque County. And the staff. That's up to you.
the networking is always good, always helpful. Also on Wednesday, January 4th at 6 PM is the E911 Service Board meeting. Mike, the chairperson of that, and they'll be meeting in here, and there will be the usual Zoom option. And I already talked to Bjorn, he has it set up, so. And yeah, and that's correct, you're also on that.
Yeah.
But that is the supervisor's appointment, but yes, I'm gonna have to do both of those. Okay. Then I don't have anything on the calendar until Tuesday, January 10th at 9 AM, which is our next regular meeting.
So we don't have any budget work session set for Thursday?
I thought it was the 12th.
It was the 12th, that's what we
That was
talked
the next
about.
one.
Thursday, the 12th, Sheriff's Office and Todd both said that they can make that work, so I set one at 10 and one at 11. I can start putting in more people behind that if you want me to, or we can do
Be
the
here.
afternoon.
I'm good for all day if you want.
Yeah, we have time to publish that yet. I have to look at the calendar.
Oh, yeah. That work session, we don't have to meet that 20.
You mean after our meeting?
Huh?
After our meeting, you're talking.
The 12th is a Thursday.
12th.
No, the Thursday, yeah, I mean, I thought we decided we were gonna do as many as we could, yeah.
Okay,
Not 9 to 3 or whatever it might
well,
be.
he can't get here till 10, so
Till 10.
that's why we're starting at 10.
Okay,
Anything else? That's all I had.
no,
All right. I'm done monopolizing the meeting.
thank you. All right, well, we got that taken care of anyway. So, is any of your visitors or citizens here that have any comments or like to approach the board? Gentlemen?
Yeah.
Come on up. And so John is here from Midwest Contracting, and I believe I met this gentleman in Delaware. one
This is
time.
Jeremy, yes,
Jeremy?
Yep.
I think we met up there.
yep, I met with Don before when he was trying to get the project started and welcome you both to the board. Jeremy will be an on-site project director, he should be here in the next week or so. I was just here to give you an update, on where we're at on progress on the project. Currently, they're putting underground plumbing in. And precast is scheduled to start erection around the 24th of January. So,
That's the walls and stuff.
yeah, that's all the walls, all the steel is on site. All the steel and the trusses and everything, we're just waiting for the precast. It was supposed to be here. Originally, when we had the bid, the addenda pushed some of it back, so I've redone the schedule and I'll get a new schedule to you. And then it got pushed back again, and now we're up to January 24th, so I redid the schedule based on that. To have a milestone schedule to hold contractors too.
Okay.
So we're basically a construction management firm. We've done 40 jails in the state of Iowa, so we're familiar with the situation. I would like to in February have a workshop with the board and the auditor, just go over where we're currently at as far as finances, bring you up to date and answer any questions you may have. But I'd like to do that, in the beginning of February, so that I make sure that Jeremy's here. He should be finishing up the other job. Right now, I'm on site until Jeremy breaks loose. But in February, I'd like to get together, sit down, go over, answer any questions, discuss schedules, finances, anything that you want to discuss at that time.
No, I think that's good. I appreciate Jeremy coming in and you coming in and giving us updates, and I think, yeah, we should meet periodically to keep abreast of what's happening, and if there's issues or we can do anything, or,
Now, I'm gonna ask a favor or a question or recommend, if I can, as a new supervisor, I tried to keep up on what was going on during this, watching meetings and stuff. But when it comes to what was bid, and then if we're asked to make a decision off what was bid, if we pick something that is not what was in the bids and could cause the price to change, could you kind of make us aware of that? And again, I'm not familiar with the background, I guess like the cement color and things like that. If there was something that was in the bids and we're choosing something different, we can do that, but just make us aware that that's what we're doing, because sometimes I don't want to make decisions and then just have to suffer the consequences after the fact because we didn't know.
Basically, when we go over it, there's project cost recap,
Mhm.
shows the original price, any change orders, and then it's listed on the back of there, noted of what it was for. There have been some changes incorporated for the sheriff, changes in hardware and stuff like that. But the board always votes on whether to accept those changes and such. So
Okay.
we keep you informed of, that decision. Some decisions, as far as the hardware and functioning, we gotta make that. There's a guideline that the architects and engineers set. But when you get into the operation of the facility, sometimes they have a difference of opinion on how that would operate, as far as locks and such like that.
I just asked if you see us going in a direction and you realize that it's gonna add or to the cost, just make us aware of that, because I don't wanna speak for them, but we might not be aware that that was not the intent or direction at the time, so
Absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, we tried to bring it from the start to the finish, and typically to the change order, I have all the correspondence and stuff attached to it. But yes, we need to discuss that, and that would be a part of this meeting, that workshop that we'd have in February. Just go over where we are and what we're anticipating going forward. And keep you informed of where we are financially and everything else.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay? So just wanted to get in and meet you.
appreciate that, and hopefully it'll be a good year for us all.
Yeah, you as well. Yeah, Jeremy did do Delaware with John Leclerc down there. I mean, he did a fantastic job, and in fact, he's real good friends with the
Actually, the
sheriff.
supervisors spoke very highly of you.
It's good to know.
It
was a good job.
It went well.
Yeah. Well, we hope this one goes just as well.
Well, and like I said, let's have a good year. So.
Well, I mean, absolutely, we're into our second summer here. or spring.
Yeah, Thanks, guys. Yeah,
thank you.
Have a good year. Yeah. Josh, would you like to approach the board also?
Well, I was gonna maybe wait to the budget item, but if you want me to talk about it now, that'd be great.
No, you can wait till budget if you want to, sure. Work session?
Yeah.
We have it listed, okay, sure, all right. Next would be Becky. I see she was in here once. I don't know if she's in the hall. We would, Lisa, are you prepared for your
I
portion?
am prepared, I'm ready. So today I need a motion to approve the minutes of the December 27th, 2022 board proceedings as written by Auditor Smith, and authorize publication in the official newspapers.
Second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for December 27th meeting as presented. All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
I also need a motion to approve and authorize the auditor's office to issue warrants in the publication of the claims listing in the amount of $190,737.77.
Second, I know though everything's listed there in the box, all that stuff, but being new and not knowing what's in that box or how to look at everything looks good, or is nothing unexpected, or
So did you receive an email from Shelley last?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
and that's the same thing that what's in the box.
Okay.
And, you look through those listings, you're more than welcome to look through the the box right now if you want. If you have any questions, give us a call, we can answer. You know, why we do certain things, so,
So I know they come out, in the afternoon on Thursday.
you,
They
well,
did-
this
I
week.
mean,
it
just
was-
last week, yeah.
Traditionally, it's Monday
So
night.
I did have some questions and I got with Shelley this morning before the meeting and answered my questions. So if you have questions, I
I would
would,
understand what the learn.
yeah, I would go directly to the source is the best, I think, because. I mean, Shelley or Lisa, of course, would have the answers to most of this, the budget. Okay. To the claims anyway, so. I have a motion and a second to approve the claims as presented. All those in favor?
Right.
Aye, opposed, nay? Motion carried, I'm sorry.
That's all that I have for the board today.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody?
Good. So we're joined by Becky Chapin, our Human Resource Administrator.
If you want one to follow. Okay, all of that paperwork is about Title VI compliance. Due to the fact that we are a subrecipient of federal funding from the US DOT through the Federal Highway Administration, we are required to comply with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. Just to ensure that we are complying with all statutory and regulatory requirements of the act, including prohibiting discrimination on the basis of race, color, national origin, as in relation to federally funded road projects and right-of-way. We did this back in 2013. This is now an annual process that is required by the DOT to update all of the documentation. Todd Kinney and I, our county engineer, went through an audit recently back in October with the DOT just to make sure that we were in compliance. Jack at that time was chair. He went through the compliance audit with us. We're doing everything as we need to do. We do just need to update all of the documentation that now gets sent into the DOT with a new chairperson. That is the person that is always authorized by the DOT documents. And then we'll do this annually, the first meeting here on forward. So some of the things that I have today are the documents that have all been drafted by the DOT that need to be approved and sent in with them. The first of those being is an annual or an assurance. There are annual assurances that need to be complied with. So they draft these to us and we have to agree to comply with them. I would need a motion. The very first page you have there is a copy of the statutory requirements of the regulations. And we would need a motion to approve these standard assurances and authorize the chair to sign the non-discrimination assurances.
I'll make that motion. to approve it.
I'll second
So I have a motion and a second on the table. Is there any further discussion?
it. Do you need to make sure, I know in the past in the meetings, they say make a motion to approve and authorize the chair to sign.
Yeah.
You need to make that
Sorry,
resignation.
authorize the chair to sign. Do it this.
Well, yeah, I would like to think that's included most of the time, but if that's what's required, we need. to-
I just know that's what you guys have done in the
Yeah.
past.
So I,
So I will make the motion and authorize the chair to sign.
and that was seconded, and is there any further discussion? So my question is that you have involved Todd heavily in this. And he's compared to either his Clinton County one or, I mean, the attorney, does our attorney need to approve this too or no?
I did not run it past the county attorney. These are all these are all standard agreements
Okay.
that need to be approved by the DOT.
Okay.
So I don't know there's much flexibility in
Yeah.
accepting them.
Just-
Either we want the money and we'll comply. Yeah, so
Certainly.
They're DOT
Not get
drafted.
anything in question. you would. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried.
So next we need to approve the non-discrimination policy statement that needs to be included in all of the contracts that Todd drafts. Again, in relation to federally funded road projects and or right away.
So moved.
Have
Second.
a- Yeah, you're gonna have to do that.
Sorry.
Motion to approve, now chair sign.
Yeah. So we have a motion and a second to approve the non-discrimination assurance
And have the chair sign.
and have the chair sign. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, nay. Motion carried.
And then we have the non-discrimination agreements that outlines the program we will follow to ensure compliance. Before we do that, back in 2013, this was the first year that we had to do this compliance. I was designated as the Title VI coordinator. I have not actively been filling that role.
Even though we're meeting all of the compliance regulations, it was kind of unbeknownst to me at the time that I was designated as the coordinator, so like, we kind of worked through that with the DOT, and Todd and I kind of talked about all of that. The gentleman, Steve Kerper, that we worked with the DOT, and Todd feel that it is best suited in my office. This documentation that was drafted again by the DOT, he did default my name in there as the Title VI coordinator. It can be anybody of the county. I am willing at this point to learn more about it and continue with working with Todd and secondary roads to make sure. I mean, generally, my piece of it will be making sure of the postings and that the language that you're approving today is in our contracts and those kind of things as we agree to send it to the state. I'm willing to continue with that. It would take a motion to designate me again as the Title VI coordinator of Jackson County if you want that. So that would be number one, is to determine who you want the coordinator to be, and then to approve the discrimination agreement.
I make a motion to approve Becky Chapin as our
Coordinator.
coordinator.
For district.
For the Title VI,
Title
Title
VI.
VI.
yep,
And are we making a separate motion for the agreement?
yeah, I need a separate motion for the DOT for whoever the coordinator is going to be, yes. So
The
if you want-
motion is for Becky to be the coordinator for
Yes.
Title VI. I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.
And I make a motion that we accept the Title VI non-discrimination agreement with the DOT.
I'll second that
And authorize chair
and
to sign.
authorize chair to sign.
There you go. Yes.
I have a motion and a second to approve and signature. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed nay. Motion carried. Can we make a motion that always
It should be a
is
standard
included?
motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work
Maybe
a lot
like an
better.
annual blanket motion that is always.
In the city, we never had to make a decision for the mayor to
Same.
sign. I
Yeah.
signed everything. They approved it. I just signed it. Yes,
I think
wanted
that's,
to be-
I don't know.
I know that was required of some of them. I would guess it's required of
There's a lot of
some.
purple tabs there if you want to sign those.
I'll get it back.
Yep.
All right.
That was it. I just had to have that, one of those annual things. We'll see that the first meeting of every year is when the DOT wants it now, so
That's your,
for, yeah. Yeah, so they draft them every year. They send them to us. Their intent is to have compliance audits with every county every year. This year was the first year we actually had a compliance audit, so they were obviously due to COVID and staffing and all that. They just hadn't made it to every county.
and we had
So
no
they did
red
us-
flags.
What's that?
We had no red flags in our audit.
Nope, he went through several pages of the audit with Todd and I and just made sure that the processes that we were doing and the DOT is good about sending out information that the secondary roads gets anyway, so they were already making sure that their notices that were included in the bid documents and whatever they need to be were actually there. So yeah, we're doing fine. I need to update the postings that go on the bulletin boards and get them on the website and secondary roads and those kind of things will be is one thing that we need to do now that they're approved. But other than that, everything's been running as it should be as far as the program is concerned.
Any further questions for Becky? Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good year.
Yeah.
Okay, Lisa, you've completed all your assignments, is that correct?
Correct.
Is there any other unfinished business?
We got the work session, talk to Josh.
Yeah. You want the work session recorded also? We can do that if you're willing to come up now, Josh.
Sure.
Sure, yeah, we have a.
I just wanted to stop by and see your first meeting, that's all. Well, it's so far so good, right? So no issues, but I just want to put in a small request, maybe think it's not a small request, to seal code 134th by the city's airport down to probably where Margaret Hordlook's property is. I don't know if you can work that into your roads plan for next year or the year thereafter. I don't know what the expenses are, but the city takes on what they call dust reduction on 134th so that our hangars don't collect dust on different weather gaps through there. Again, I don't know the cost if it's of interest to you, but the city's gonna have to be investing some money in the airport in the future here. And as part of it, I don't necessarily want dust to be a continued problem. So that would be just a small budget request I have on behalf of the city.
Okay, so I think. Probably you might want to have a meeting with Todd.
Yeah.
If we can, and just see, where, if we could, or where we might work that in. I know there has been some issues with that area as far as snow and buildup and such. So I have been in the last couple, or before Todd left, was in discussion and waiting for him to get back to have another discussion.
Okay.
So, yeah, I would hope that we could put that request in and somehow we could work that in, hopefully.
Well, that'd be
See how
helpful.
that, how big, how long a stretch are we talking, or you think?
It is not a mile, maybe 3/4 or a half mile.
You know, maybe it's something to the, yeah, maybe it is a dust control thing. I don't know. We'll have
Yeah.
to see what the number is, I suppose.
Right, yeah.
You know. Sticker shock always creates issue, but. So, no, I would certainly have a discussion on your end with,
For the city's airport, this, well, the infrastructure package, they call it the bill funding. We're gonna be collecting money in kind of a side escrow pot to use at the airport, and we can actually use it for hangar rehabilitation. Which is our plan, because the T hangars are quite old and need of various different things, as well as our corporate hangars, so I can foresee in a couple of years us having to execute this money out the door, and then the dust is still an issue. That's
So
why
we're
I asked.
talking just from 64 up to the driveway, or how far?
64 to, yeah, the corporate hangar entrance, or to Marty's if you wanna extend it down just a little bit further, and I realize that he's an employee, but I think that would capture all of the corporate hangar then if you got just a little bit further.
I was thinking, you know, if you go up to this, if you head to the south and stop at the corporate driveway, you know, people coming from the south that breeze out of the south, you're gonna have the,
Direction.
you know, you're gonna have the same issue.
That goes all the way through, comes out on the Red Schoolhouse Road, is that correct, or where am I at here, no?
It'd be the road that we moved, had to move the entrance. because
Yeah.
of The runway extension.
But off of 64 goes south, does it come out on? Like,
No, it's
Elk?
there's that driveway cut across where, if I'm assuming right, it'd be like where Merlin Yeager lives, I don't know the name of that. but-
I'm not really familiar with that gravel road, no.
We just have to check and see how far we would have to go to make sure there's adequate dust control or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not, again, I'm not opposed to something like that. Again, the sticker shock is gonna get me probably, but
Yeah,
we'll see how we can do that.
Yeah.
See where we're at. I know.
right, not
We're
asking for 4 inches of asphalt, you know, and lived on Binkley Road back in the day, and that seemed to be needing repair every once in a while, and I don't know how much it cost either, so, I'll get with Todd and put a bug in his ear to maybe think about what something might cost for your purposes.
And while we're talking budgets, I guess, you know, we've had limited discussions on the senior citizen center, and I know I had brought it up just because of the fact that Bellevue has done some work with their senior center. And I know, I think Don was maybe gonna speak to you, and I don't know, I haven't really talked to Don.
Right.
Other
Yeah.
than- So I didn't know if it was anything that the city would consider maybe in budget season time to maybe do something or help down there and have maybe an activity director or somebody there also. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually reached out to Abby in an email over there in Bellevue, and she sent me quite the email about the story behind their involvement, how they were involved in the first place, and I don't think anything will happen this year, but they had an infrastructure in place inside of the Bellevue program that I don't think we have, and we have the old hospital being redeveloped for senior purposes. I'd be really curious to see where private is taking this before public gets involved with that
Okay.
project, because that old hospital, they were trying to get it down to the ground before January 1st and start constructing. That's probably not gonna happen, or it didn't happen, right? So.
You're talking about January 1st coming up? or-
Yeah, get my dates right. So my guess is this summer that old hospital is not there anymore. And then they're building. That's kind of the aggressive timeframe they're on, and they're talking about a real substantial senior housing complex, and that might have a very large influence on this ask or question.
Yeah, I can see that, you know, if they have activities and whatnot inside of that, you know.
Right.
If it be a facility,
Yeah.
a separate facility that, and even if you're not living there, that the public could attend. I like the dialogue between the city and the county anyway, talking about this, you know, because it's hard for us as a county to say, we're gonna stick X amount of dollars into senior centers here and not in another town in our county.
Right.
So in talking with you in the past, you talked about some housing developments that you've had to deal with in prior situations. You have those concerns with this one or?
I do. We've been, I guess, negotiating a first right of refusal. Which would allow the city to kind of endorse or approve who would be purchasing it in the future, should they decide to unload it to a different owner. I pushed that as far as I can go, and that we get like a 2-week period to vet and to recommend and to kind of cover our bases for who's going through it. According to our attorneys, there's no way for us to stop a transaction as a public agency. And it's a little concerning still to me, and it's not the ultimate goal that I wanted, but at least we're getting them in paper saying that we're allowed to research for some time and probably gather some background on who a new owner might possibly be. Where I came from in my police background was, we watched a private owner really kind of destroy a town and grow from a couple hundred units to almost 1,500, and lots of crime, and the owners were completely uncooperative with these things. So I'm extremely aware of how things can go south on private equity and for housing complexes. So I'm not naive in this situation, but I think that we'll have an agreement for our council soon. They're accepting of what we've presented so far. But I mean, if we're trenched in and not agreeing on a new transaction happening to an owner we don't approve of, there's truly nothing the city can do from stopping that from going forward. So I hope to at least be cooperative and positive in the engagements and try to get them in the right direction. But I do think that their building layout or their architectural renderings can at least help influence any potential problems in the future. And they're yet to put a final plan on that, which has been kind of frustrating for us, but I know that they intend to be pretty aggressive with getting things moving here shortly. So
it's easier to understand what you can see.
yeah, and one example I have in my police background of one of those problematic complexes, it wasn't a 3-story structure, it was flat units. Those types of problems from private ownership come in all forms, townhomes and single flats and everything else.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the input, Josh, and hopefully we can continue to work together. I think we have a good relationship with the city now, so.
Yeah, we're doing great.
I like to see that continue and work together on issues or projects and whatever we can be assistance, so.
Thank you.
I would touch base with Todd and see what we come up with.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. So we're still in budget work session, if that's the case, if that's what we're in right now. Is there any other concerns, or? I have had the chance to go through some of the budget workbook, and I do have some questions, but I think it's basically for each department when it comes up that I have the questions for, so.
I went through trying to comprehend the numbers and everything. I just went through and kind of looked at for increase.
Check marks and highlight,
And just to kind of get an idea of
yeah,
what's going on. I did see the sheriff's department budget's growing at about a $592,000 increase.
about 600.
I'm hoping there was some measures to prepare for that, because
Well, and I think a lot of that could be estimates too, Don, I mean, here's so many
That's your main
unknowns
point.
when we're gonna be done down here, when it's gonna open, what's it gonna cost to open? What's he considered for personnel? I mean, it's all, to me, it's all if and what. So I don't know, we'll have to have a lengthy discussion, I would say, in the budget work session and just see. I mean, we can't go to the fact that we gotta run short, but we're gonna try to eliminate if we can. Square it up a little bit. We also have to have some discussion as far as the board's budget. I really haven't diagnosed that, but in the past, I know there was a lot of input from Shelley and Lisa on that, and right now the numbers are, from what I've seen, stagnant, so we'll have to have some talk about them line items and see where we're at and the questions we have. So if you get a chance, I would ask you to go through that. To go through our budget portion, our department, and see if you have questions, we have to iron them out, so.
the COM board is meeting on the 16th.
Town board meeting on the 16th, the way it looked.
And I
Correct.
guess, and I know you guys had asked, or we did in our work session the last time. Becky was gonna come up with like some salary increase, kind of.
We're gonna come up with some,
Spreadsheet.
yes.
Did that happen, or can we get a copy of that, or? Cause I see in the budget, it looks like pretty much everybody's just kind of latched on what the other counties around have done with the 8.7%.
I think that was the inflation rate, that's where that come from, but, yeah, some had different numbers in there for percentages, so.
Yeah.
I think when we get to that part, I think she will probably have the spreadsheets available for us, and we'll see what the recommendation is and consider all we can.
So I got.
Is there any other unfinished business before the board? We don't really have many reports on commissions or other boards, as we've not started them yet.
Right.
If not, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion, and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Motion carried.